Is your life just one giant trauma response? Let's find out. So, basically, I've been thinking about this and looking back at my own life after learning a lot about trauma responses from these workshops that I've been to recently and things I've been learning online about trauma and trauma responses. And looking back into my life, I realized, like, wow, I spent pretty much all of it as just one giant trauma response. And what I mean by trauma response is, so we have the responses. So trauma responses are basically our built-in primal responses to danger. So when we see a threat, we'll respond in, one or a few of these set kind of ways. So one way to respond to a threat is through the fight response. So that's like, you're tensing up and you're ready to fight that thing, and you think that, all right, this threat is here and I can overpower it, or I can beat it down, or I can beat it up or whatever, and that's the fight response. And the second one is the flight response. So that's where you feel like you can just run away from the threat. How you can run away or hide away and get to safety. Another response is the freeze response, which is basically when it feels like the threat is so overwhelming and nothing can be done about it, you just freeze. You freeze, you go, oh! Kind of like how some animals, when they're presented with a larger threat, they, like possums and stuff, they'll just play dead. And a lot of the times, that actually works for them. And sometimes as well for human beings, it works for us, right? And because it works, it's been, just for those that didn't, they've been killed off. And so it kind of like just evolved in us over time, this freeze response. When faced with a threat so large and impossible to defeat, like a bear or something, just freeze. And you just stand there, completely unable to move, unable to talk, unable to do anything. And, maybe the bear will call you up, but he may not kill you because he thinks that you're already dead. All right, he moves on. Cool. So that's the freeze response when that works. And there's fight, flight, freeze, fawn. Fawn is a big one. So that's basically you're helping your threat. So take, for example, how do I say fawn? What's a good example of that? Somebody is pressuring you into doing something that you don't want, and you feel that there's no other option. You feel this tension in your entire body, and you go, oh, okay, sure, no problem. Or say, for example, a parent is yelling at their kid or whatever, and the kid feels like they can't do anything except for appeasing and fawning to the parent and going, oh, okay, sure, I'll do the thing. Fawning can also look like there's the Stockholm syndrome, right? That's a huge fawning response, where it's basically like Stockholm syndrome is basically shown in there was these studies, I think it was studies, but basically a person is kidnapped or is imprisoned by somebody else, and then as a survival mechanism, that person will go into the fawn response and will actually appease their captor or help them, right? By doing what they say, or doing the work that they tell them to do, or by by pleasing them in one way or another, by just essentially doing what they ask them, right? So that's the fawn response. So freeze, fight, flight, fawn. There's another one, flop, I think, where it's basically when presented with so much threat, you just kind of, like your body just goes limp and just flops in place. And I think there was another new one as well that was kind of figured out, but I don't recall it right now. But the main ones is fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. Now, looking back in my life, I know for sure that my main response to threat is freeze and fawn, and then I think flight as well. Like I just want to run out of there or avoid. But the main one for me is freeze. So I will just stop, shut down, and the thing, whatever it is, I just shut down, shut off all emotions, stop feeling until the thing passes, right? It also comes out as procrastination. It comes out as just not wanting to do anything, not wanting to get out of bed, and being lazy or whatever it is. And I look back in my life and I go, wow, I realize that because of the family household dynamic, or because I've been raised with a very narcissistic parent, and there was a lot of toxic family dynamics in there that put me in a constant state of, from a child to all the way into adulthood as well, of constant tension, fear, and also anticipation of something bad is about to happen. Like I'm constantly like hyper aware, listening for sounds all over the house. I had this thing where I'm basically in the back of my mind, kind of keeping track of where all the people are in the house. And if I hear a sound that's out of place, I'll instantly go like, what the fuck is this? What is that? I know that there's like 2 people upstairs in this and that room, and another 2 people downstairs, and one with me and one in another room. But I heard somebody else in the garage or something that I didn't keep track of. And I go, whoa, what's going on? So it's like this hypervigilance, and my nervous system was basically kept on like high alert. It's like constantly tense, like a cat with its hair standing on the back of its ends, going like all the time. And that is very, 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 very draining over a course of a lifetime. And so what I realized now, like looking back at it, I was like, fuck, I actually lived my entire life in this giant freeze response, where essentially what I do is just shut down. All of my emotions were just shut down since I was a kid. And I've always wondered, like, why am I this weird robotic kid that can't feel or socialize or be quote unquote normal like the other kids? Or even into adulthood, when I'm like, oh man, I'm trying to figure out, like, why am I just like this? I hate the way that I am, and I don't understand this. So, but what I realize now is that, yeah, actually that was probably just like a giant freeze response that I was in the entire time, where I just felt, oh, there's so much tension going on in my nervous system. There's so much hyperactivity from being super hypervigilant or constantly tense that something is about to go wrong, or constantly needing to read between the lines of what everyone in my household was saying, or just being always on edge, on guard. And because I'm like revving my engine all the time, doing this, even mentally, like in the background, the only rest that I could get was to shut down my senses so that the noise would like be turned down. But what happens is that killed my ability to feel and to connect to other people's feelings. I've always wondered, like, I've always looked at other people's feelings almost like a bit of a robot, of like, I can mentally, conceptually understand what you're feeling, but I don't feel it. Like, I don't get it. That's because I was pressing it down, shutting it down. Because it was a constant state of freeze. A constant state of shut down, compress, go small, hide. And shut down feeling. Because there was no fighting the situation. Because I couldn't, fight my parents. I mean, I could have, but that wasn't my, I guess, my body's preferred built-in way of responding to these threats. At least it wasn't perceived that way anyways. So I couldn't fight the threat, couldn't flee the threat because, it's family, like family household. Kind of had to stay there. I could fawn, and I did a lot of fawning, and I could freeze, right? So a lot of my life has been spent in freeze and in fawn. And what that does as well, going further into adulthood, is that first of all, I had to learn how to feel, how to get in touch with emotions. And that's still something I'm working on to this day, of being able to actually stop, to breathe, and to actually feel my body. What is going on? What is my feeling? It even goes into sexuality. Just being completely fucking numb during sex. Right? Because once again, that shutdown. So, yeah. And also, because of that continuous shutdown, that sense of self, I never really made it for a long time, and it's only more recently that I'm starting to actually, within the recent years, and even more now, where this is my current journey, where I'm really feeling into myself and really growing into, my understanding of myself and who I am, by being able to feel these different parts of myself, of my emotions, of how I see the world and everything, and going actually, I don't need to abdicate my my identity or understanding of the world, because I don't need to suppress my senses anymore. I can sense what I feel, and say, well, this is my understanding, this is my perception of everything. I don't need to shut that down and then rely on other people's understanding of the world to tell me, who I should be and how to actually interpret what is being felt at the moment, right? So what I did is, because of that suppression, I basically didn't really have my own identity. I existed as somebody that was kind of told what to do, essentially. And this is where, where in my story, where I basically just went into, all right, well, fuck it, life is just like this. It is what it is. Went into this very apathetic mode and just isolated myself. So that is basically until a couple of years ago, where I realized, no, actually, I don't want to live like this anymore. And so I started slowly making the steps to come out of that. I'll speak about that on another time. But I really, what I want to say as well is that is what a lifelong freeze response / fawn response looks like. Where I trained into my own head from perceiving my environment as constantly dangerous, or very manipulative, or whatever it is. It's basically, I'm surrounded by a constant chronic threat. I can't get away from it. I'm going to shut everything down, and then that has its after effects later on in adult life, where sexuality is shut down, emotions are shut down, connection is shut down, self-identity is shut down. Ability to make business is shut down as well, because I couldn't feel what I actually wanted. That was one of the things I really struggled with, was going like, what do I actually want? And I couldn't understand, how to answer the question, because I've shut that part of myself down. Like the dreams and hopes and visions that I had for the future, just shut that down, because that's what I did with everything else. Otherwise, it would be too much to feel. It'd be like overwhelming. Like, I can't do this. Right? So it's just easier just to shut down, because it's what I did. This would carry over. So that's an example of I guess a lifelong freeze response / fawn. Like a fight response throughout life would kind of manifest itself as constantly, I guess the words that come to my mind is like rebel without a cause. It's the constant fighter of like, I have to fucking fight everything just to get away from my problems. I constantly have to fight this and fight that, and life is constant struggle and constant fight with everybody and everything, and with myself. So it can manifest itself as constant arguments. It can manifest itself as constant fighting just with just random people, whether it's store clerks and this and that. It's almost like a powder keg, like a quick fuse, a short fuse. And I've seen as well before where it's like, sometimes fighters also have this as well, where to feel better, to feel more regulated. And actually this is why we do these behaviors, is to get our nervous system back into regulation. And regulation means when it's not constantly like high rev, like I'm in danger, fuck, I'm in danger, I can't do anything about this, I gotta do something right now, now. Like, it's not redlining all the time. It will have to do something, whether resolve the problem or fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, so that energy goes down. And for sometimes for fighters as well, they feel good. They get this regulation from fighting, like actual, like boxing or whatever. I'm not saying that all boxers have this, but there's sometimes you see fighters that are there because it actually regulates them. It keeps their body in regulation, their nervous system, because that was what was trained into them from a younger age. Of this is how I get my mind and my body and my soul to relax after seeing that there's threats all around me. I gotta just fucking punch it and fight it and just beat it up. But now I feel calm. I feel that, okay, everything's back under control because I fucking fought the thing. And now that it's not moving, it's kind of like dead on the floor or knocked out or whatever, I feel safe again. So now my body can relax and feels good. Right? So, or if I've like argued and yelled at the thing and it just shut up and it caved in, now I can regulate myself because the situation's back under control, the threat is gone. So it can manifest in that way as well. The flight response, like a lifelong flight response, it can basically manifest itself as constantly running away from the problems, of avoidance. Say when something difficult or challenging comes up, it might be, come out like procrastination or running away. Even with like, say when a difficult conversation comes up, the mind can actually trigger off the feeling of needing to pee or needing to go to the bathroom, and you just go off and run away from the problem. But that's an unconscious trauma response to help you regulate your nervous system. And so you might go, oh fuck, I suddenly need, like, As soon as this conversation has come up, I suddenly need to piss really, really, really bad. Well, that's just your mind working in the background to help you out, to return your nervous system back into regulation, back into, not fucking redlining all the time. Just run away from the problem and everything will be fine. So that can look like, in an adult life, it can look like, when when a relationship gets too hard or too real or whatever it is, just run away. Avoid the problem. Get away from it, right? Or even in small things, this like a flight response can look like just mentally checking out, and just like they're physically there, in the conversation or whatever, but their mind is just gone. They're distracting with themselves with like a pen or something like that, or they're just looking out the window, whatever. It's a way for them to mentally just escape the situation, to fly away from it, to run away from it, right? And I guess as a kid, what that looks like would be, running away from the house, or running and hiding away from parents, or doing something like that. And so what was the last one we got? Fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. Fawn is another one where I kind of explained it a little bit, where if you're fawning, how that would manifest, as your like predominant life, I guess, program. If you've trained yourself into that since childhood from the environment or whatever it may be, if you lean more towards fawn, what that would look like as well is essentially not having a backbone, right? It's going like, okay, whatever you want to do, that's okay. I'll just go with whatever that is. I have no opinions. I have no wants or desires. It's okay. It's your thing. And feeling like this empty feeling, because this is kind of my experience as well. Like I felt this really empty feeling of like I don't even have me. Like I feel hollow. Like I feel like I'm not even here in a way. It's a weird feeling to describe. Of like I'm kind of here physically, but I'm kind of like not here at the same time. It's kind of like a ghost in a way, of like I'm hollow and I just don't have a core essence of like I know who I am and I know what I want. But instead, it's like because I don't have that, I'm just gonna rely on other people to tell me what I want or what I need, or rely on other people to tell me what to do or whatever it is. So it's kind of like a very outwards looking, I don't have myself, so I'm going to look outwards and just keel over to whatever you desire and fawn to that. So, what that looks like in childhood would be something like constantly, like not having opinion, or being punished for an opinion that goes against their parents, and just going like, oh, okay, cool, I guess that's how it is, because that's a way for the body to and the brain to keep itself as safe as possible, right? Otherwise you'll go completely fucking crazy. So how this may manifest in life is basically like, for example, for me, not feeling the backbone to ask for that higher paycheck, or not feeling comfortable in asking for what I want, or feeling unworthy to receive things, or feeling unworthy to belong to groups of people. Like there's like I'm unworthy, I'm incapable, I'm not okay. So you have the thing instead. You do the thing instead. And constantly saying I'm sorry to you as well. oh, I'm sorry I did this. So even though like I have no reason to be sorry, I would go, oh, so I'm so sorry I did that, rather than standing up for oneself. What I would do is basically just fold over and just say, oh no, that was my fault, I did that, and just take the blame, rather than, you know, have the backbone to actually say, no, this is not right, this is unjust, I don't deserve this. My response would be instead, oh, okay, I guess I deserve that, even though I didn't do anything. I'm not gonna cause too much of a fuss. I'm not gonna cause too much havoc. I'm just gonna stay quiet and stay down. So yeah, that's how that happens. Oh, I need to exit here. And yeah, so check in with yourself. This might be an interesting new perspective on. I'm also actually not entirely sure of how flop would appear. I think maybe fainting. I don't know. That's where your entire body just basically goes. Blah, blah, blah. Your muscles just give in. You black out or whatever. Because one of the ways to protect itself is like if the threat is too much, you just go full on unconscious and just go bye bye. So yeah, check in with yourself. This might be an interesting inquiry into your life of like, all right, maybe have I been living a particular response for a majority of my life? Maybe you haven't. Maybe you've been like, you know, genuinely you, and you've been fucking balling out, just kind of like, fuck yeah, I love life. You know, life has been great. Then it doesn't apply to you. But maybe this, you know, as it has given to me, it might give you some more clarity on, oh shit, this is what I lean to, and this is what I've been doing for a majority of my life, and that's how it's been manifesting itself in the results that I have in the present moment of like, oh my god, I've been running away from all my problems, or I've been fighting everybody, or I've just been freezing and just not doing anything. That project I wanted to start, or that business I wanted to start, like, I've just been sitting here doing nothing all this time because I was too afraid of the consequences of, you know, being seen or whatever it may be. And so it's just too much. I'm just going to sit here and do nothing. And that comes out of procrastination or whatever it may be. So perhaps, maybe these are all programs that once you're aware of, that's when you can actually begin to start changing them and to start seeing, oh, okay, this is another fight response that I'm going through. I don't need to argue with this person. I can take a calm breath and just relax for a little bit and see if I can speak to this person in a different way. Or maybe I don't have to constantly fight everybody and fight everything, right? So, or maybe, like for me, I check in with myself and go like, all right, I think I'm doing this freeze response thing again. I need to get up and start getting back into my body and start moving more and taking more action and taking more, engaging my body more. Otherwise, I'm just going to sit in bed, not doing anything for weeks and weeks and weeks until the project in my head is like feeling so overwhelming that I just don't do it anyways and just can it. So yeah, check in with yourself. Maybe this is something that you're doing. Maybe you'll be like, fuck, wow, holy shit, I've been doing this. And take a little bit of a Google into the different threat responses, into the different trauma responses. Fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. Those are the four main ones. And just check in with yourself. Maybe I'm doing that. Maybe that's something that's real for me. All right. And if not, great, fantastic. But it's just about expanding your awareness of yourself and how you work and the programming that's deeper in your head. All right. I will catch you guys later. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you got something useful out of that. Bye.